Hey everyone, it's 2 o'clock time on Easter Friday. I hope you're all well and not eating too many chocolate eggs. I'm a little bit early, so we'll just wait for people to join. Let me know you're there. Give me a wave. Say hi. Why do I always get these annoying messages come up when I'm about to start a live stream? Everybody on? Anybody watching? Ah, 3 of you. We have 3 people watching at the moment. 4 people. Yay. Hello, everyone. 8 people. That was a quick jump. How are we doing on this Easter Friday? Just turning the volume off on my phone. My phone's actually working today. No one said hi yet. Someone going to make a comment? Give me a wave. Send some love. 10 of you watching. Excellent. We're normally about there. Hello, Becky. There, Becky's talking to me. Where's the rest of you? Just give it another couple of minutes because it's only just 2 o'clock for more people to join before I start. My camera's got a bit of a wobble on it today. I'm not sure why. There we go. That's better. Okay, this is the fox we're going to be doing today. Hello, Hilary. Hey, Linda. How are you? Excellent. 13. Linda Hardwick. Love the duck. Happy Easter. I did him ages ago, Linda, and I never got round to doing anything with him. He's supposed to go on a mug with another duck on the front standing up but a bit waddling. So maybe over the next few weeks I'll get round to creating that. I've also got a couple of frogs, which is really cute. One climbing over the back of another one that I did probably 10 months ago. I was just having a sort through my old watercolors. Hello, Margaret. Good to have you along. And I came across my duck sitting on his bottom. I thought, oh, that'll be good for an Easter message to everybody. I really don't know why my camera's got this slight wobble today. I'll try and keep it still. Anybody else? Oh, we've got 17 people on, 18 people on. Excellent. I thought the fox would be a popular one. So we're just going to end our watercolour week with Mr. Fox. It was either that or some daisies. And I actually asked the people on my class last night which they thought was better, and everyone said the fox. So there you go. You've got them to thank for having Amber. It's Amber, by the way. She has a name. The fox. And if you can see, she's just looking up at a little bumblebee there. It's up to you if you want to put your bumblebee in or not. Kirsty's there. My daughter's watching today. She's going to have a go at painting along. So welcome to my Manchester Kirsty friend. Okay, so hopefully if you saw my post, if you're going to paint along, you would have already sketched out your fox. So I'll just move Amber to one side for it. Actually, I'll keep her here. So it's up to you whether you include the bee. It's also up to you what colours you use. She doesn't have to be amber colours, normal fox colours. You can go to town, make her purple pinks, whatever you feel like on this lovely sunny day. So I'm going to move her out of the way. And lo and behold, on the paper below, I have my fox drawn out, ready to go. Now, what I'm using today are watercolours. Hello, Sean. Good to have you along. I'm using my set of Winsor and Newton watercolours. Mainly, I'm going to be using the cadmium yellow, the vermilion red, some yellow ochre, maybe some brown and a bit of blue. Okay, so very limited palette today. I've also got out some watercolour pencils because I recognise not all of you are have watercolours, but you may have some watercolour pencils knocking about. So I've just got 3 colours out, sort of a yellow ochre, an orange and a brown to show you how you can also complete this in watercolour pencils as well as watercolour paints. I'll probably do most of the work today with my big watercolour brush, although I have a small one on hand as well. Excellent. And if anyone is lacking supplies, don't forget I'm selling quite a few, hello Sandra, supplies now on my website. So the range of products is growing by the day. I have this beautiful set of watercolour pencils by Coin Noir, 18 of those at Totorial, really good. And don't forget, if you're looking for watercolours, I can't recommend this set highly enough. It's a little tin. It's got its own mixing palette, 14 colours. So yeah, if you're looking for materials, there's all sorts on there. Just go check it out. Anything you need, and we'll be posting. The next post day is Tuesday because of the bank holiday. Okay, I'm also using a fine liner pen. If you don't have one of these, then I would save any, you could use a watercolour pencil, slightly dipped in water. I'll show you that technique as well. If your pen, if you're not sure whether it's waterproof or not, don't use it until the end. If you know it's waterproof, go on and do what I'm going to do now. Now, generally, I paint first when I'm doing my watercolour critters, and then I ink afterwards. But for the filming today, so it's better for you to see what's going on, I'm going to go and ink over my pencil sketch. If you're really uncomfortable sketching freehand and you have a printer, print off the images that I share and just trace down, scribble over the back with a normal pencil, turn it over and trace the outline down and work from that. The other thing you could do is grid out. Have you all heard of gridding out? So you could draw a grid equal distance. Usually I use the width of a ruler. Draw horizontal and vertical lines over the reference picture, and then draw the same distance lines on your paper, and then all you're focusing on is drawing each box at a time, just what's contained within each box. So it breaks it down, it doesn't make it such a challenge for you. Hello Pam, hello Lauren, hello Sandra. Just catching up with my people joining. Wow, 24 today. Okay, so I'm just going to take my fine liner pen. This is a uni pen. I do have some others online as well that you can buy a single pen, and I'm using a 0.5. So really, when you're looking for a pen, you want one that's water and smudge proof. When it dries into the paper, you can put your watercolour over it and it's not going to bleed. So I'll just crack on. I'll carry on talking and sketching. So I'm just going to go over the lines here. They won't all, as I say, if your pen isn't waterproof, don't do this. I'm doing it so you can see better what's on my paper. The pen's also really good for fiddly areas like the eye, because you can just ink in that tiny detail with your fine liner pen. The same for the nose. If you're not confident with your brush or your pencil, then just use your ink pen to bring those dark areas in. And when I'm sketching round Amber, or whichever this fox is going to be called, we'll need a new name. Hello, Heather. I'm sketching like I would be with a pencil. Not many straight lines, more hatching and creating, because it's a furry beast, I don't want straight lines. Here around the ear, I don't mind because the fur is very short. And then I come down that ruffle on her back, which is very much like my little fox, Bella. She's got ruffly back, very long fur down her back, which makes her look a bit like a chubby hyena. See how I'm sketching down here? I'm going to bring this closer to the camera so you can see my lines are broken. I'm just going to raise my board so it's higher for you to see what I'm doing. There we go. Is that better? Can you see better now? Okay, I'm going to come round her mouth. It's more awkward for me having it up here because I'm having to stretch, but hopefully I won't mess up and you'll think I'm useless. So I'm just sketching. She's a hairy fox, so we don't want straight lines. I'm going to bring some of the tufts into her chest fur, some indication of where her ginger fur comes down here. Just keep it loose, sketching those lines in. Now, I do appreciate that if you're following along and you don't have an ink pen, you won't be joining in this bit. So just watch and see. I'm just going to bring it down to her foot. Get those little pads of her foot in. Straight line there. And again, up her leg, nice and fluffy. So just from the mark you're making, and I'm just putting the pen on and flicking out to create that mark. Bring her little toes in, round her paw, and up the other side, up her leg, flicking all the way, creating that fluffy texture of her fur. A few more. Now, the other thing you can do, guys, is you can ink more afterwards if you finish. She's a paw at the back here showing through. Just capture that one in her back leg. You can add ink after you've watercoloured as well if you want to add more. Bring round her bushy tail. I've gone really close to the edge of my paper here when I was sketching her out this morning. I didn't quite get her position right, but we'll get her on. I've got about 3 millimeters the other side of the tape. Remember, with your watercolour paper, you see it's taped to the board. Hello, Linda. Walking the dog. She didn't seem to understand me saying it's 2 p.m. Hurry up. Oh, I love it. Oh, poor dog. She was enjoying her walk and you rushed her home to watch this. Fabulous. Okay, so she's pretty much sketched in. There's a couple of little dots on her nose, just where her whiskers sit. And I'm just going to turn my page round where it's more comfortable. There's this line here that comes up. Cross some hairs on her head. There we go. There we go. Very loosely, quick. You are Nancy. This video stays on here for eternity, I believe, so you can play it back later. I also, by tomorrow, it will be on my YouTube channel, so you can just go there and you'll find all the videos that I've been doing at my 2 o'clock sessions on there, so you can replay old ones that I've done. Okay, I've just missed a bit down here near her bottom. That's it. You love all my bees. Hello, Arlene. Good to have you along. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to pop my fox back down because you can't see her all. Now she's sketched in. Get rid of my little pots. Okay, now the whole fox is going to be created using wet in wet techniques. But before then, I'll just show you what you can do with a pencil as well. So I'll just grab a scrap of paper. So if you've only got watercolour pencils, you can layer them. Did you know that? Okay, so if I was doing her face, let's say I'm doing her cheek here. I'm going to paint down with my pencil, just sketching in the yellow first. It's supposed to be mustard this, but it's quite bright. The yellow. And then I'm going to overlay that with some of this orange. Just using it, just shading in like you would with a normal graphite pencil. Shade that in. What you'll see is happening, if I put this orange next to it, how much brighter it is. And then when it's overlaid with yellow, you can blend it. So I'm going back over with the yellow pencil to encourage that to blend. And if I put this yellow over that orange segment there, you can see how it blends. And then I've got a brown, so I'm going to bring the brown in right over the top of the orange and beyond, so it's on his own there, and then in and over the orange. Now with watercolour pencils, it's a bit like magic. You can just take a wet brush, and you always go from light to dark, otherwise you'll pull that brown into the yellowy colours, and just add some water over the top and blend it. So the gum that's in the pencil breaks down, it's water soluble, and you can blend that to get rid of your pencil marks. I'll bring that closer to the camera so you can achieve a watercolour look with your watercolour pencils. So you can mix them as well. You can use pencils and watercolours together if you want to experiment. I do have, as I showed you, a set of 18 of those pencils as well. And the other thing I mentioned was the black. Let me find my black. That's blue. Bear with me a second. Right. So if you haven't got an ink pen and you want a strong black line, if you use your watercolour pencil as it is, you'll get a nice line. But if you want it stronger, wet your brush, never dip your pencil in the water, wipe your pencil on the tip of the brush. So you're getting the pencil wet, but you're not going to ruin the wood. And then when you draw with it, it'll be much thicker, a much stronger colour. Let me just do that again because I didn't put much water on and my pencil's quite blunt. Okay. Much stronger, intense colour using a wet watercolour pencil. So you can do your outline, but obviously do it afterwards. Hello, Mark. Good of you to join us. Get yourself out of your studio. Okay, so let's go on. I'm going back to my watercolours now, and I'm going to be working wet in wet. I'm going to start with my cadmium yellow, and I want these colours to mix on the page. So I'm going to bring some colour round by her eye. I might raise this up again, guys, for you. I really want you to see what's happening on the paper. So actually, I'll bring my camera down. It's easier. I have a fabulous new tripod. Look at this. Just turn the handle and down you come. Zoom you in. There we go. So I'm just going to bring this cadmium yellow over her face and up her ears, leaving the white bit. Remember, if you want white, you retain the paper. We've covered this in previous lessons, but if some of you are new on here today, the white comes from the paper and the depth of colour comes from how much water you're applying. So I'm just bringing this lovely cadmium yellow. It's like sunshine in a bottle, except for this, in this case, it's in a pan. Okay, then I'm going to take my vermilion red and I'm going to paint that over the top, drop it in and just move it around. I want this yellow to be more orange, so by dropping the red in, it's going to mix there and then on the paper. Okay, can you see how that's changed? I'm going to use a bit of yellow ochre as well, a bit of mustard yellow, just to calm this fox down a bit, because the cadmium yellow is quite bright. I don't mind a bright fox. There we go. Can you see that? Now I'm going to take some brown and I'm going to drop some brown. If I pick it up, get it wet, and bring that back into view. And whilst this is still wet, I'm going to bring some brown in the ear. I'm just using the tip of the brush to drop some of this brown in where I want it, around the ear. Now, if your colours are mixing too much, it's because you've got too much water on the paper. So wait for it to dry back a little. I'm going to come round the face. All the time. It's a very gentle brush. I'm touching the brush down and then just pulling it, moving it around within the colours. So I'm getting this lovely, soft look to my fox. I'm just going to soften this area by the nose. Remember we did softening earlier in the week, wherever with an edge is looking too sharp, because left alone, watercolour will dry really sharp edged. So if you want to soften that, just add some water where you stop painting. Otherwise you will end up with a very harsh edge. Now I don't mind this bit round her cheeks being harsh. I can live with that. So you could also mix your colours up in your palette if you don't like working in this way. So you could just make your own orange with some yellow, a little bit of red. You don't need much red, guys. Red's really strong colour. So if you're mixing your own and you haven't got all these colours, So I've mixed my very light orange. And then if you want this to be more yellow ochre, more mustard coloured, add the tiniest bit of blue, into your mix. Not that tiny, Eunice, actually picks them up. And you will change that colour. We did this last night in our Heels and Dowels. There we go. Can you see how that's changed to more of a mustard from that brightness? But if you put too much blue in, you'll end up with a green colour. So the tiniest bit of dark blue, and you can get that mustard colour. So I'm going to use that now instead of the one in my tin. There's the one in my tin next to it. Same colour. How's that? How's that for good mixing? So just to repeat, if you haven't got the mustard and you want a mustard colour, you want to use your red, your yellow, and the tiniest bit of blue. And the quantities are strong yellow, tiny bit of red to get that light orange, and then a tiny bit of blue. Okay, so I'm going to carry on coming around my fox, laying this amber colour in. Beautiful gingery tones of this little fox. Okay, I'm going to mix up just go in with a little bit more red. So I want her more orangey. So again, if you don't want to mix on the canvas, on the paper, mix your colours in your mixing palette. So you can do either. There's no wrong or right way, just whatever you're comfortable with. So I'll mix some orange in there. And I've got my mustard. So I could do it this way. But I do encourage you to play around with the other method. So broad strokes, just take in and bring some more mustard in around the edges. Now, coming into the white area of her fur, I want to carry on with this illusion of the fluffiness of her fur. So I'm going to bring my brown. This is like a burnt sienna. And flick into the white. So I'm just flicking my brush into the white. Let's get a bit more brown on my brush, a bit stronger. Drop some brown in here. I'll go darker still. I'm going to pick my darker brown. Get some dark brown in. I'm just going to drop that dark brown in. Okay. Now I'm going to use the tip of my brush just to pull and flick that colour into the white. So we're working in the negative. We're getting the illusion that the white fur is laying over the brown by pulling that colour the other way, pulling it into the white fur. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I've lost some viewers. I must be boring people. How can you be bored at this lovely fox? So I'm just now coming in with this burnt sienna. It's an orangey brown. You can mix it yourself. And then the dark brown. Really load up my brush. Quite strong pigment, so I'm going straight from the pan. Dropping this dark brown around the edges because her coat's going from brown to orange to this lovely ginger colour. Up here, bring that back in up the ear. Now this ear that's in the background, so we've got one ear close to us. The one in the background is going to be in shadow, so I want to really darken that one down, and that will help the illusion and push it back. Really dark that ear behind. How are we doing? Is anyone following along? Are you having a go? Or are you waiting till later? There we go. I'm just going to soften this area here up by her face and just bring a bit more brown through this ear here over the top of the orange. I want it much lighter than the one behind. You know what, guys? I want this ear that's sitting in the background even darker. So does anyone know I'm going to darken that brown. Painting along, Heather, well done. Okay, so I'm going to take this dark brown and I want it darker. Darker. So I'm going to pop the dark brown in there. And then I'm going to mix dark blue in with it. Blue and brown makes a grey, okay? It's a bit more pigment. My brush is sucking up all the paint. Brown and dark blue. A bit more brown. Now I'll give you a grey. Where's my spare sheet of paper? Oh, Katie, bless you. Okay, so that's the colour I've mixed with blue and brown, but you can change it really quickly. A bit more blue in there and it becomes more steely coloured. Can you see that? So this is more browny grey. It's more steely grey. Go back to more brown. You really need the tiniest amount to make a big change. So when you're mixing and mixing colours, take your time and just put a tiny bit more paint in at a time. Otherwise you'll get, look at the colour range there. Same two colours and look at that range of browns and greys that you can mix from it. So I'm just going to take this dark now and drop it on. You could also use the blue straight neat from the pan over the brown and let it mix on the page. So options, lots of options for you guys. Now that's much stronger. So that ear is now way back and in shadow. Linda, what are you saying? Trying but distracted by 6 packets of biscuits and cakes left on a chair by my door by Oh, you lucky thing. I wish people would leave me biscuits. Okay, now I'm going to come down the other side. Mustard. Remember, you can mix your own mustard. Do you want me to keep mixing my own? I will. You know what? I will, just to show you. So it really gets into your head. So I'm going to mix my own mustard. Yellow. And you can do the same with your watercolour pencils. You can mix. Oh, you couldn't find the image, Doreen. It's on it's on Facebook. Have a go later. Yeah, with your pencils, you can layer the yellow and brown to get a mustard colour. So I'm adding a bit of orange, vermilion, to get my light orange. Remember, take it to light orange first. And then to make mustard, add a little bit, and I mean a little bit of blue. Oh, that was close. Can you see how that's turning slightly green? So to counteract that, I'll go back in with some more yellow, bring it back to mustard. There we go. So now I'm going to bring this mustard all over her towel, except for the tip. I want this white, lots of white coming through, and up this side, up the edge of her, up to about her neck. Just laying that base colour in. And then I'm going to bring some more stronger orange through. So orange and yellow. And again, I've made this more orange, more red in it, so it's a brighter orange. And I'm still going to put a little bit of blue in, just to make it more natural looking, yeah? And now I'm going to paint this colour over the top. Just let it play on the paper. I don't want to lose all of that yellowy, or the yellowy colour, the mustard colour I put down. I just want these colours to mix and dance and play about on the paper. I'm going to add a bit more red to that. Okay. Now, the same as the other side, I'm going to take the stronger brown, drop that in around the edge here. Just tapping it, look. Just tapping. Tap that down. Needs to be a bit more orangey. There we go. I've been brave and stuck some red down. I want a bit more orange coming through my fox. Just drag that out to the side. Doesn't matter if you go over the lines. Some people make a living from doing watercolours going over the lines. Okay, now I'm going back into my dark brown, coming along this edge. There we go, that's what I want. And now I'm going to pull, just like I did the other side, this browny colour up into the belly fur, just to create that soft look there. Now I'm going to go back this side and just strengthen those colours. Now it's dried back, I want stronger brown. So this is dried now, this side, so you can go over the top and it's not going to interfere with the colours you've put down. It's just going to make it stronger. And I want more of this reddy orange colour. I'm just going to bring a bit more vibrancy to this side of my fox. There she is. And the same with the towel. Let me move her up a bit. In with the orangey brown into the towel. I'm going to drop a bit of red. Now I think I've moved it, Heather. I'm a little bit ahead of you on timeline. I'm going to drop a bit of red in there. Don't be scared of adding the red. It will blend in with the yellow and the brown that's down there, or just really give it that pop of sunshine colour. Okay, I'm going to bring a bit more of this brightness into the face as well to balance her out. So I'm just going to drop some of this reddy orange up here, around the back of the head. There we go. And I'm going to break up this line. I'm just going to bring some of that fur outside of my pencil line, outside of my pen line. There we go. That's better. I want a little bit more brown on her face. Doesn't the orange and red make a difference? Yep, it really brings it to life, really pops out the page. So I'm just going to add a bit more colour there to the nose and the side of the face. I'm quite happy with how that's looking. Now we need to tackle the feet. So for the feet, I'm going to mix up a dark brown again, like we did here, just using blue and brown. So in my little mixing bit, I'm going to take the blue. It's good to see you chatting amongst yourselves on there. So I've still got 20 of you watching. Where's the other 10 gone? Perhaps they tuned in by mistake. Can't believe anyone would want to leave. So I've got quite a bit of blue in here, and I want an equal amount of brown. I want quite a dark colour for her feet. So blue, brown, a bit more brown, more on the brown side than the blue. There we go. Okay, now to start with, I'm going to take this, hello Sue, I'm going to take this orange one first along her leg, just to give it a bit of base colour. Hello Joe, good to have you and your friend Joe. Just come back from your walk, have you, Sue? Oh, I've not been on mine yet. My dogs are waiting patiently for their walk. Okay, so I've got this orange down on the forelegs, but now I want to bring this really dark colour down. I want these legs to really stand out against the body. I'm just bringing this dark colour down the leg. And on the right hand side of this leg, let me just bend my hand over a bit so you can see. So on this side of the leg, I'm going to take the tip of the brush and just sweep it to create these hair-like strands. I'll come down the right leg, just bringing this darker colour over the top. Just tap it in, move it around. Now I want it stronger still. So do you remember the other day, guys that were on, to get a really strong colour, you go straight from your paint pan or your squeezed out paint. blue, brown, just on the corner so you don't mess the whole pan up. Blue, brown, blue, brown, blue. I'm going to end on the brown. Always have a piece of paper to test your colour. There. That's what I want. Once you've got the intensity, because I want this colour really dark, I need to use it with hardly any water. Hence me taking a damp brush and pulling the paint directly from the pan or from your mixing palette, from your tube paint, if that's what you're using. I want it really strong. I'm just using the very tip of my brush. Now, if you want to, and you're not comfortable with such a big brush, but so long as it's got a tip, you should be fine. Just switch to a smaller brush to get these hairs. I'm just coming over the top. Just tickling with the top of my brush, creating some hair here. And again over this side. Need more paint. Blue, brown, blue, brown, blue, brown. Check it. Bit more. Blue, brown, check it. Lovely. And come on. Just tickling, using the edge of your brush, creating these furry legs, little furry legs. Come round the front of that paw. I want to leave the top of her paw quite light, but the side of her paw on the right hand leg, I'm just going to shade in that side. And then with this real strong colour, this back paw that's sneaking through here, I'm just going to bring the top of that paw in, and then the back leg is going to be really dark. They've got those really dark back legs, haven't they, before they go up to their body and change colour, like they're wearing stockings. Okay, it's coming down here again. I'm not keen with what's happened there, but I'll live with it. Right, I won't live with it. Here, on the left-hand paw, I've come out a little bit too far and it's upsetting me. So I'm going to get a bit of tissue. Excuse me, guys, a bit croaky today. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to wet this area back. There we go. And then I'm going to lift off the water. And lo and behold, I've reshaped that paw. Mistakes will happen. They happen to the best of us. I'm not the best, but I'm good. So you can correct them. You will never, ever get the paper back to white, but you can lift out the paint. Probably good that I make mistakes, so I show you these things. Now I'm going back blue, brown, just to reshape that how I want it. So I want it to come down straighter before it comes out to the toe. Now I'm happy. It's only a millimetre out, but it was upsetting me. What can I say? Okay, now in my previous little fox, I had lots of other pretty colours going on in this chest area. Let's have some fun with that. So I used pinks and blues last time. Today, I've got turquoise and a pinky purple. Excuse me. So I'm going to take my turquoise and I'm just going to tap it quite neat, quite strong. Bring some areas of colour like confetti down the chest, a little bit under the chin. You don't have to do this bit, you can just leave her au naturel, but I like to add a little bit of sparkle, a bit of colour. And then I've got this really lovely pink. It's a Winsor & Newton colour. And just drop some of that in, let it mix with the blue. I've just seen an area that I missed, guys. I didn't put any fur in her ear with my ink pen, so I'm just going to bring in some fur in her inner ear there. There we go. So it's gone a bit big. And now I'm just going to soften that all over the belly. Just have it soft. So I popped a few bits of colour down, then softened it with some water. Now a little bit more of this blue. Isn't that pretty? Come down her belly. I think it's another girl, given the colours that I'm using. There we go. Now for the fun bit. 2 more fun bits and then we're done. So to ground Mrs. Fox, we need to put some floor in the base. I've also just missed out her towel. So yeah, we need to put a shadow under her so that she's actually sitting. I'm just bringing some dark colour in that towel as well. In there, a little bit more dark there. Just as I see it. Just skip around the page. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring that shadow colour in. It's up to you what you use. Last time I did it, I used blues. And I've got a bluey colour mixed up here. So that was just blues and browns. I'm going to add a bit more blue to it. I want it more blue to sort of create a grey, a still grey colour. Like that. You can't see. Like this one. I'm going to use this sort of colour for the shadow. So I'm just going to come in. You want her to be dry before you do this. Otherwise she's going to bleed into your shadow. I'm just going to come around her paws, under her towel with this colour and take it side to side. Once I've come round her, then I'm changing my brush stroke to sideways. There we go. To create a shadow. Now where she's sitting, the shadow will be stronger. There's always a strong colour underneath the object, whether it be a vase, an apple, an orange or a fox. Where the shadow, where the object meets the ground, you want that shadow stronger. So I'm just tapping in a stronger version of that colour underneath her. And whilst the rest of this background colour is wet, it will bleed into the paper. A bit more. A little bit more. And stretch it out. Just come out to the side. There we go. There. Now she's sitting on the floor. Last bit. What we're going to do. What's missing other than the bee or butterfly? You can do that if you want to. I'm going to splatter her. I'm going to use this pink. I'm going to use the pink and the turquoise that I used in her belly. I'm going to use some of the ginger colours and I'm going to splatter her. Splatter in. Oh, the whiskers, Sandra. Yeah, the whiskers. Well spotted. I forgot the whiskers. So whiskers. Yeah, she's bald. She's been in a fire and had them singed. So for the whiskers, I'm just going to place my pen on where the whisker hole is and just flick. Just flick your pen nice and light. Don't forget there's some whiskers the other side of the face. Forgot her whiskers. I'll bring a couple of whiskers coming out there. There we go. There, she's better. And a few more marks around her eye. Okay, splatter time. Thank you, Sandra. Saved my life. Okay, I'm going into my turquoise then, guys. Loading up my brush with a lot of paint. It's like a little soup, a little soupçon. Now, get a scrap of paper or some tissue. And test your splashes first. So to splash, there's different ways of doing it, but I hold my pen, my brush parallel to the paper and tap with your finger. If you want gentle splatters, or you can tap with your other hand, give it a bit more force to get bigger splatters. Some people flick as well or use a toothbrush. I wouldn't do that for this because that gives you more sense of movement. And this is just about creating some rainbow colours. So here I go. I think I've got a dead fly in my paint. I have a dead fly. So I'm just going to tap. I don't care if it goes over her belly. It'll all add to it. Some down on the ground. I just like splatters, what can I say? I think they're fun. Now, if you want a different size splatter, you can make bigger splatters and smaller ones. If you wet the paper first, I'll show you. So if you're doing something that's quite watery with your watercolours, if you wet your watercolour paper first, not too much, you just want it damp, and you flick down over that, your paint will spread further. So let me bring that there. That's quite wet. So if you tap on that and you'll get this bleeding out. Wait for it to dry back and you'll get smaller and smaller reactions. That's very wet, that paper, so it's spreading a long way. It's wonderful though. You could just do this all day, couldn't you? Here you go. As that's going to start to dry out, do more splats on it in a moment and you'll see. But it will just give you a soft splatter. So let's mix my colours up. Let's bring some of this pinky purple in. I want some of those. I just want tiny ones. You could put some paper over to protect your fox if you didn't want your splatters to go everywhere. I just think it's like blossom and leaves and blowing in the wind. And then I want some brown ones too. You're all still with me? Some gingery colours just to pull it all together. And a few more splatters. Tiny ones over her face. And there she is. Don't tip your paper up whilst you've got it like that. So I'll just come back to this bit of card that's now dried off a bit and splatter again. And you can see those splatters are just spreading out a little bit. So rather than just sit there solid, you get this slight bleeding out. You could experiment and wet your paper first. The turquoise is lovely, isn't it, Linda? I really like that colour. So there we are. I'm just going to take the camera up so you can see the whole thing. There's our little vixen sitting on, looking at something. So I'm going to probably put a butterfly on this one. Okay. She needs to be, look at her head's tilted up and she's clearly gazing at something. As I had a bee on this one, I think I'll put a butterfly on this one later. But yeah, that's the end of our watercolour week. There will clearly be more watercolours coming up. But we'll be going back to more sporadic classes, whatever takes my fancy next week. I might not be doing one tomorrow, guys. I'm not sure yet. I've got quite a bit of commission work to do, so we'll see how we go. But if I don't, I will still post you a challenge. You'll keep sending your artwork in. I love to see them. And have a wonderful but safe Easter. And I'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.